Hello everyone and welcome back. This is KrazyBatLady, and today I want to talk about the new Sword the Cursed Blade, which is going to be available from Kazuha's story quest slash event. This sword at first glance is not looking to be so great on Kazuha, but who would it be good on? We're going to talk about this in this video, and if you're wondering if it's good for Kazuha, the short answer is no. So let's take a look at this thing's stats. Alright, so we've got a respectable 510 attack stat on it and a 41.3% secondary attack percentage. So it's not bad. It's not bad at all. But Kazuha doesn't want these things, and for it being a signature weapon of Kazuha, I find this very bizarre because it has a ton of attack percentage and a little AoE attack that does physical damage. And probably 99% of people are not building Kazuha for physical damage. I mean, you do you. You can build Kazuha however you want, but at the end of the day, in Elemental Mastery, Kazuha is going to do so much better for not only himself, but the entire team that you're playing. So this weapon sounds really familiar, and I mean really familiar. That's because it's very similar to the Flute. It even has the same base attack and the same exact secondary attack percentage amount. The only difference is the Flute does not have a bonus attack percentage, but it still does have an AoE physical damage thingamajig. I think it may be better than the Flute, but I'll have to do some testing when this thing comes out. Okay, so we're going to look at what weapons Kazuha would be good with. Just pretend that Animo Traveler is Kazuha for a second. Okay, so the go-to weapon for most players is going to be the Iron Sting. There are some other good 4-star weapons here. I'm not going to mention any 5 stars because those don't relate, usually. So Iron Sting is a very easy weapon to make. You go to the blacksmith, and it has a really good substat of Elemental Mastery and a pretty good passive effect as well. And if you don't have this, Sacrificial Sword can be really good too, because you can get more elemental skills, and Kazuha loves elemental skills, so not a bad sword to have. If you're not using it on Shincho, or if you just want to play with Kazuha with a sword, it's a pretty good sounding option. There's also Favonius Sword that has energy recharge, so that's not too bad. And if you were lucky enough to get Festering Desire back when it was out, this one's not too bad either. You can, of course, use Harbinger of Dawn if you don't have any of these other options, but I'd highly recommend going for the Iron Sting. And weapons like Alley Flash, Prototype Rancor, the Flute, or the Curse Sword are just going to be terrible on Kazuha because he doesn't want attack percentage. You won't be making very much of it. It's better spent on a physical or main damage dealer, namely Kuching. Kuching or Kaya are great examples of this that it might work well on because they have enough attack percentage and you want to build them with attack anyways. But there's also the Prototype Rancor, which has physical damage and a really good passive. So I don't know. I would suggest Prototype Rancor over the Curse Sword, but it's still a viable option. It could work on Bennett, but you're probably better off using an energy recharge weapon on Bennett, or something with higher attack percentage, such as Alley Flash if you have it. Prototype Rancor if you're not using it on anyone else, because I believe it's the highest base damage craftable weapon in the game. The characters that I think will really make this weapon shine are going to be Chi-Chi and Jean. If you're using a DPS Chi-Chi, this actually might be a good option, because you'll have all kinds of AoE explosions if you're using Ocean-Hued Clam set, and you can also throw some physical damage on there, and it probably won't be too bad. Again, Prototype Rancor exists, but this might be a pretty decent option, or at least fun to play around with, because it has a lot of attack percentage, and Chi-Chi and Jean both love attack percentage. They scale off your total attack percentage and not just your base attack like Bennett. So having all this additional attack percentage from the passive, the secondary, and the somewhat high base damage, this will actually work out pretty well, I'm thinking. I do think it's very strange that Hoyoverse decided to make a signature weapon for Kazuha and not have it tailor-made for him. Sort of like Albedo's weapon. While there was a little bit of arguments regarding Albedo's weapon, being that it's literally only good on him, and if you don't have it, you'll never have signature weapon for him, because they never seem to do reruns on these event weapons. At least not yet. So it is kind of good in that regard, that if you miss it, you're still fine with your Iron Sting. But the sword, just doesn't even synergize with him. And I just find that really strange. Overall, I wouldn't say it's anything spectacular. It's not super great, but it's still a viable option if you're lacking swords. Definitely max it out because it can be useful on someone like Chi-Chi or Jean, or even Kaya or Kuching. As for Ayato or Ayaka, I'm thinking that Amanoma Kaguchi is still the better option here, but you could do that if you're out of billets and can't make any more weapons. So you could definitely use it for in either of the Kamisato twins. However, there's also the Blackcliff Longsword, which gives you a ton of attack percentage, high base, and crit damage. The Blackcliff Longsword is really easy to get. You just use Star Glitter on it. You'll definitely get some Star Glitter after a while playing this. If you don't spend them on wishes, save up for the Blackcliff swords. I highly recommend them. They're all good and can work on many different characters. They're very versatile. Even if you're just using it for the crit damage, it's still worth slotting in above a lot of other options. So, to summarize, my top picks for you are going to be Chi-Chi and Jean. You can also get this for Ayaka or Ayato if you have either of them, if you don't have any billets. If you don't have any billets, this will be fantastic because it's, going to be free from an event all the way to Refinement 5, which it's actually really hard to get enough billets to get a weapon to R5, being that the drop chance from the weekly bosses is absolute ass. So, it could definitely be a viable option in that regard. And then, of course, you can use it on your physical damage dealers, such as Kuching or Kaya. Alright, so I hope that you found this video helpful or interesting. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like, and leave your comments on who you think this sword would be best on, and have a nice day. Bye!